Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here. Today is the 10th of February, 2026. I want to welcome you all to Angel Wings Personal Transformation Online Program. We are in year number 3, week number 6. I'm going to pick up just from last week so that we can keep the momentum going as far as the practicality of opening that door into self-mastery. Please keep in mind that year number 3 is about cracking that door open actually into self-mastery. The prerequisite requirement to actually do that is a pretty good balanced state in one's life. All 12 dimensions need to be in a state of balance. If they are not, find out where imbalances are, work on it, and try to bring it into balance. You may refer to older recordings from the last 2 years to assist with that, or you can ask me questions. I'm happy to guide anybody through that if they need help. So I'm going to focus specifically on this, cracking this door open into self-mastery. It is the most extraordinary journey, and I want to welcome you all again. So remember that the TEMDE, thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy, they function together. They are not separate from each other in that sense. We think of them as separate, but they're interconnected all the time. There is some uniqueness to them all. Thoughts have some feature qualitatively, subjectively, that's different from emotions. But no thought exists without emotion. And thoughts and emotions cannot function without the background of memory. Yeah, and even for thought and emotion to function, there's always some desire or motivation, or sometimes lack thereof, but it's always there. To some extent, motivation, drive, instinct, desire, it's always present. And then all of that TEMD, thought, emotion, memory, desire, is enlivened by energy. And so please remember that the energy concept is where we can use an analogy to understand that. Like in our homes, we have electricity, we have a breaker box. And then we have all those, we have a main breaker, and then we have all these other smaller breakers. That is a way of distributing energy to the different outlets. Distributing electricity, and then everything is going to run. Computers and fans and tube lights and light bulbs and whatever, right? Stoves and microwaves and dishwashers and water heaters, air conditioners, heating systems. Everything is run by energy. Similarly, our brain, our body, our mind, our senses, our organs, our actions, our thinking, our feelings, everything. Our memories also hold energy. Everything has energy. Everything is, in fact, a form of energy also. Right, so having understood this, I want to extend a bit further the practice that we talked about last time about memory. First of all, we have memories. Everybody knows that, right? Everybody knows that there's such a thing as memories. Now, what exactly are memories? What are they? Well, let's look at it in terms of our experience. In the present moment, we can deliberately recall something from the past. Maybe it was a year ago, 5 minutes ago, 10 years ago. There is a sequence of events, linear time, psychological time, that in 2020 this happened, 2021 this happened. There's a linearity in some sense. But our memories don't exist in some kind of a linear sequence in the brain. They exist all together, all at the same time. We have the ability, the brain, the mind has the ability to remember in sequence, to talk in sequence like I'm doing right now. It's based on my memories. If I didn't have my memories, I couldn't speak what I'm speaking right now. I couldn't speak language. I couldn't be able to can't formulate thoughts. So all activity in the present, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our interactions, is due to the presence of the entire memory structure. This is our first point to understand today, right? I think that's easy to understand. We know that that's true. Now, self-mastery means that I, as an individual, is not trapped inside my memories. Now, this is not language that most people use. People say, I'm thinking too much, or I shouldn't be feeling this way, I'm feeling so sad. But as far as memories go, the kind of language that's used is, I remember something so sad. We don't think of memory structure as a place or as a reality within us in which we're stuck or trapped. We don't think of it that way. We don't even use that language. Have you ever heard anybody use that language? I'm trapped in my memory structure. Has anybody ever heard that? But this is what this program is about. We all have memories. We have so many memories we don't know. We don't even know. And while we're awake, consciously in the present, we only access certain percentage of the memory structure, not all of it. It is triggered. The accessing of the memory is triggered by stimuli and by one's own will. I see a red rose and I'm thinking, of this particular person or some event or in the past. So memories are triggered by external stimuli. It's easy to understand. They're also triggered by just our own thinking. We sit around and start thinking of someone or something or some situation. But it's not simply that we remember just as a fact. We remember with the emotions in the present and those emotions in the past. I think this should all be very straightforward at this point. Right? There's nothing here that is not in our experience. It's very clear. Now, our goal here is to be not stuck in the memories. Now, what does that even mean? What is that? Are we stuck in our memories? Well, it's an interesting question. I think that's the question we need to ask this week. We want to keep it very straightforward. We don't want to complicate. I'm not going to try to present too many theoretical ideas, and it'll complicate this, and I don't want that to happen. We want to make it very applicable and practical. It's very simple. I'll ask myself, you can ask yourself, am I stuck in my memories? Now, what would be an example? I'm just going to use myself as an example. You can use yourself as an example, right? No doubt. For example, I remember my grandparents, my father's mother and father from India. I have pretty good memories of them. I remember many incidences with them, let's say. I can cherish their life. I can remember them. I can think of them in many different ways. But if I ask myself this question, am I stuck in my memories in relation to my grandfather and my grandmother? Boy, that's a tough question, right? That's a very foreign question. Like, what in the world does that even mean? What do you mean you're stuck in your memories? Interesting. One way to know if Sachin is stuck in his memories with regards to grandfather and grandmother, is there any disturbance in me right now because of that? They're both gone from this world. Many years back, many years back. But is there something that they said, something they did, some relationship thing, anything, something I've heard, whatever, that is causing some type of a disturbance, some type of an agitation, something that doesn't sit well, and then I start thinking about it. For example, just hypothetically, if I had a memory of my grandfather yelling at me or yelling at somebody, I remember my grandfather. One of the things yelling and all that is one thing, but he tended to be very stingy with his money because he grew up in a lot of difficult, hard time. Eventually, he had made a lot of money as a lawyer, as a high court judge. But in his earlier years, he used to study under a street light. I mean, it was that difficult. Went through some real tough times for many years. So I have memories of my grandfather doing certain things that even after he had quite a bit of money, still he was very stingy and whatever. I could think of that, and then I could start finding fault. I can start living in that in some way. Now, obviously, I can do it deliberately. But if I get disturbed inside, I start finding his faults. I start saying, what is this nonsense? And whatever. I could start thinking for an hour about some incident like that. And then jump from one thing to another. Because this is my point. Our memories are not isolated. They're all interconnected, all of them together, all at one time. So when I start thinking of my grandfather, I might then that'll jump to something else. Maybe something from my life, from my dad's life, from somebody else's life, from something I saw on TV or who knows. And I could sit around 10, 15 minutes and just daydream about that stuff and just think about that and cause a lot of energy disturbance. Is it true or not? I mean, this is our life, right? This program is about practicality. This is not about some theories and PhD level dissertations. This is just life. Is this true or not? Could I have done that? Have I done that before with other things? Sure. Overanalysis, things that are gone and dead. Everybody's done it. We are still doing it probably. And this is what is meant by entrapment in the memories. It's a word we don't use. We don't know what that means even. And we are trying to discover this year what it means to be bound in one's memories, to be trapped in one's memories, to be limited by one's memories, to be agitated by one's memories, to be in a state of too much analysis of these memories. Why? I think if you were to ask the common person, almost anybody will say, I think too much. I don't want to be stuck in the past. Almost everybody will say, I don't want to be stuck in the past. If you ask any common person, they say, but are you stuck in the past? They say, yeah, sometimes I am. Do you overanalyze stuff? Almost everybody will say yes. If you ask the question, are you trapped in your memories? That's a shocking question. So the first step is to be aware of how much entrapment there is in memory. Now, how do we know that? We know that by experience. And as I said last time, there's no need to deliberately activate painful stuff. That's not necessary. We're not at that stage of doing that. Because if we deliberately activate the painful stuff, then that's not good for us. We shouldn't be doing that. There's no need to do that. Right? But when painful memories are left alone and one can remember them without activating them, that's a real state of self-mastery. That something painful happened, now I can remember it, but I'm not activating all the trauma, the pain, the suffering, the blame, shame, guilt. I'm not activating any of those things. Then that is a free state. Then that is freedom to look at my memories, to even remember them, but not to have reactions by remembering them. We will get to that, but that doesn't happen just like that. That takes time to get to that point. And how do we get to that point? The very first step is simply to recognize in the present something that props up from the past and say, oh, wait a minute, this is coming from the past. I am thinking a lot about this. I'm getting stuck here. It's awareness. So why is this happening? Why am I doing this? And when you recognize when you're doing that, if you're religious minded, immediately dive into prayer. Have a book of prayers with you and start reading them. Divert the mind. Change the direction. Remember the quantity, quality, direction, dimension, depth, structure, the 656 or 565. Change the direction right away by recognizing I'm thinking a lot about this. I've already thought about it, but I'm still feeding on that, chewing it up and destroying my internal good quality energy. I don't want to do that. I have to be my own teacher in this. The personal transformation program, yes, Sachin is giving guidance and presenting ideas and all that stuff. These are generic for the whole world. But the application is unique to each individual. When I am activating memories or something opens up from the past and I start dreaming it up and thinking about it and I recognize that I'm chewing this thing up again, whatever. It could be my grandfather. It could be some event that happened, some problem. I've had some very serious stuff happen in my life before. I could chew that stuff up and just damage myself very badly. Thank God that didn't happen, but that could happen, right? You have to come out of that. So this is what happens. Our own thinking, our own remembering capacity can wind up damaging us a lot. And we don't need to do that. We have to recognize that very carefully. And it's very subtle. So the first step is to be aware that this is happening. It's like a light bulb should go on. That what's going on here? And then have a book of prayers or good book of meditations or go on YouTube and just dive into meditation. Dive into prayer or start reading the Bible, start reading the Gita, start going through or reading good quotes or some other books you read. So my mind is going there, but I have nothing to do with this. I've already chewed this up before. What's the point in chewing it up again? You know, I hate to use this analogy, but I'll use it. We put food in our mouth, we chew it up, and then we spit it out and chew it up again. Will we do that? When we spit something up, we never put it back in our mouth again. Many things that we have chewed up have been spit out already, thrown out. What's the point? They're in our memories, but we don't need to keep playing around with that trash. There's all kinds of trash there. And we have to recognize it. I have to recognize what is trash and what is worth thinking about. Yes, beautiful stories of great people in life, wonderful ideas and wonderful memories, wonderful experiences are worth having gratitude, applying the quantum principles. That is worth applying. But what is not worth opening up again is the trash of the past. Now, trash is not something physical here. But if to use an analogy, we have trash bins all in the house. In the bathroom, there's a trash bin. In the kitchen, there's a trash bin. Maybe in some other rooms. And what do we do with that trash? What do we do with that trash? Think about it. Do we say that, I'm going to throw it out, and after throwing it out, I'm going to bring it back again? No, we don't say that. We don't say that. We want it out, and then we don't even give it a second thought. Similarly, that which doesn't need to be regurgitated is left alone. We cannot throw out our memories. I never said that. But throw out the trash means we are stopping the unnecessary probing into those past events again and again. There's no need. There's no need. Nothing meaningful ever comes out of it. We wind up more distraught, and we might create distress in others also. So that's the other aspect. Of course, we don't want to create distress for ourselves, but the expression misery loves company. We start creating distress for ourselves, then we create it in others. By bringing those things up again and again and again. Leave it. Leave that alone. Don't bother with it anymore. The things that don't serve us anymore, they're still in memory. That we can learn and grow and gain wisdom. That is the biggest benefit. True self-mastery is where we gain wisdom from the past experiences, all of them. Now, somebody will ask the question, well, what do you mean by wisdom? What does that mean actually? It's guidance. Wisdom is guidance. This happened. It shows something about me, something about the mind and my actions and my relationship. And I can try to remember and try to contemplate on past events for the purpose of wisdom. That would be very nice. And you can do that actually now using AI programs. You can do it beautifully. You can put a whole scenario in there and say, I would like to gain wisdom from this. And it'll give you all kinds of information and output. You put it on audio, you can listen to it. And the purpose is to gain a perspective on it, new perspectives. So you can use the AI programs now. They're amazing. And again, not just AI, but if you have close friends, or sometimes people have therapists or counselors, it's perfectly okay. But that is the intention. Self-mastery means self-wisdom. And wisdom is not information. Wisdom is a deeper vision. It's an open vision. I understand something greater about me, about life and death, about whatever it is, philosophically, religiously, about whatever, X, Y, Z. Like in the addictions world, why do people attend all these 12-step groups? Because they listen carefully to what others are saying to gain wisdom about themselves, so they prevent relapse. Right? That's an example from the addictions world. But it's true in anything in life. So the point here is that when we look into our past, why am I traumatized by my past? Am I traumatizing it? Am I hurting myself? If I am, what do? I have to divert. I have to recognize I've already looked at it. This has already been done with. There's no point in going back into this. I'm going to move ahead. I don't want to repeat old cycles, because that's what tends to happen. We tend to repeat old information again and again and again and again. We're wasting time by doing that. You want to repeat something? If you're religious oriented, study the Bible, biblical text, study commentaries of the Bible. I always use a religious example. But if you're a scientist, go into other things. Learn new material every day. What is the point in going into same loops again and again and again and again and again and again? Wastage of time, wastage of energy, wastage of intelligence, damage to oneself. What's the point? It sounds almost ridiculous and simplistic. But you want to know something? It is actually very simple. It couldn't be simpler. It's just realization. Am I going into old loops, or am I going to have new experiences? Beautiful. That's the real question in life. And something new that shows up within is where freedom really comes. What is that's something new? New ideas, new feelings, new thoughts, new ways to perceive life. Life is short, time is shrinking. So why not decide that to be the master of one's mind, the TEMDE, and in doing so, there's joy. It's so simple. I just want joy. I don't want to hurt others or myself anymore. Whether someone is in counseling or therapy or 12-step groups or whatever it is, or just ordinary person or very highly evolved person, it's the same principles apply. Doesn't make any difference. Age is almost irrelevant in this. If you're anywhere beyond 10 years old, all of this can be understood. Maybe in different language, that's all. Maybe 7th, 8th, 9th grade, you can understand these things. And this is how we build a bright memory structure. Building a bright past. Then there's no such thing as building a bright future. This is a totally wrong idea. I hope that's really clear to everyone, because we cannot reach self-mastery until that point is clear. If it's not clear, ask me about it. You cannot build a bright future. People say, I want to build a bright future. No. You can never do it. We are building a bright past. By living in the present in the best possible way, that bright past is the memory structure that is being built. That's all we can build. We cannot build a bright future. We cannot live in the future, nor can we live in the past even. It's only in the present, but we cannot build a future because we are not building a future. We're visualizing potentialities. This could happen, that might happen, this will happen tomorrow, this will happen then. And I'm planning for tomorrow. It's not even planning for tomorrow. That's another wrong expression. It's planning for the potential present. That when tomorrow comes, which will be the present, I want this experience to be. The experience comes into the present. When we say planning for tomorrow, it is planning for the present. In the present. It's planning for the present, in the present, using thoughts and emotions and memories and whatnot. And when we realize this, then what we're doing in the present is paramount. Do we need to plan in our calendars? Yeah, this should happen, that should happen, long-term goals, short-term goals. That planning is also happening in the present. It's not happening in the future. But that vision of the future needs to be there. It's a vision. It should be very clear. But once the vision is there, live in accordance with the vision. The vision is self-mastery, like in this case. I'm the master of my life. I want to experience joy. Okay, I want that. Now, moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day, in the present, align oneself with that vision and build the bright memory structure. The moment we know how to do this, we reach self-mastery. And if we do this, when we do this hour to hour, each day, by the time it comes to an end, the feeling inside is that what a beautiful day. There was no wastage of energy. There was no wastage of time. There was no negativity that came up. There was no worry, tension, fear, loneliness, boredom. None of those things are present anymore. Because there's a brimming, a dynamism. It's activity. We are active in the beautiful life that God has given us. That is the blessing. Each day is seen as a great blessing of the universe or of God if you are a religious person. There's gratitude, there is appreciation, there is the attitude of service to others, there is the attitude of not finding faults of others. There's the attitude of improving oneself, keeping 100% attention on oneself, total personal responsibility. All of this comes together. Where does it come together? Within us. Why is this what is so hard about this? 6th grade student, 7th grade student should be able to understand this and apply it. And everybody else beyond that, up to the age 90, 100, everybody. There's nothing difficult. We have made our lives unnecessarily difficult, and then we keep analyzing those difficulties until we are totally exhausted. Then we do extreme things. I can't wait until it's Friday. TGIF. Restaurants are named TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, because Monday through Thursday was such a terrible time. Now I can relax. Now I can. Why should Monday through Friday be so terrible? Why not make it joyous? Why not have the spirit of service for others? Doesn't matter what we're doing. Any job we're doing, are we serving the humanity somehow? Hopefully. We're not hurting someone, hopefully. So that attitude of service to the family, not this thing that, I did this for you, so now you have to do this for me. This constant exchange mentality. What, is it a business? Family is a business? When there's love, there's just love. You do for others. Don't worry about anything else. Love it bounces back and forth all the time. Egos should not bounce back and forth. Then we wind up in so much unhappiness. But when love is brimming, then love is that allow it to express itself. We don't want something from someone all the time. We have all kinds of expectations. This person should be this should happen, that should happen. Let it happen if it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, don't worry about it. Don't let love be damaged. If we allow love and grace and faith and devotion and good thinking and good qualities, if we allow them to be damaged, what we will have in life? Who is the cause of unhappiness then? These are very straightforward ideas. So today we have talked more about memory, about realizing, am I getting trapped in my memories, or am I able to gain wisdom from my memories? It's a very simple question. This is this week. We all can work on this week. There's the only thing to work on. One idea. One activity to do. It's very simple. Keep it very simple. I'm also trying to keep things extremely simple, but they're not simplistic. They're simple and extraordinarily powerful. The power level is the same, but it's simple. It's like, your electric box. You put the breaker on. How much energy, how much effort it takes to put the breaker? Not much. You can turn the breaker off, all the lights go off. You turn the breaker on, all the lights come on. Turn the breaker on. That's all. Am I getting stuck somewhere? If I am, recognize it. Leave the memories alone. Leave them alone. And then gain wisdom. You cannot throw the memories away. When I say throw out the trash, doesn't mean suppressing the past and trying to extract it to some. You cannot throw the memories away. But we can gain wisdom and remember them and recall them in a very different way, which we'll be talking about later on in more detail. But right now we have to be able to try to do this. Am I getting stuck here? And if I am, divert. There's 2-step process. Recognize where I'm getting stuck and divert right away. But don't keep analyzing, because it's already been analyzed. And if it hasn't been analyzed, go through a process. Maybe through the AIs, maybe through with a counselor, maybe through with a friend, maybe using a Bible, or however, using journaling, any method you want. And get it to the point where you've looked at it, maybe even analyzed it, and there's nothing new in it. Has wisdom come? If it's not come, then work on bringing wisdom. What is to be learned from that? That's where the scriptures come into the play. That's where great teachers come into the play. To gain wisdom, listen to what because when we keep our mind on higher ideals, wisdom naturally comes about. That's what I have for today, right? We're keeping it. I'm trying to keep things literally one concept each week. 52 concepts this year that'll open the door into self-mastery. Concept is fine. Application is everything. Sachin is speaking, not telling anybody anything. I have to do this myself. I've been trying to do it myself. I'll continue to do it also. I should not be deluded thinking I've mastered this. I should always keep my mind fresh. It's a blessing, as I mentioned to you, all of you online, because of all of you and your good wishes and your dedication to this process. Sachin here has this extraordinary opportunity to do this. So that is really a tremendous blessing for me, and I don't even have the words to express it. So as promised, it's 8:40. I will stop here. Would love to hear what you all have to say. Let's get into some conversation if you would like before we close, and then we'll do the closing song also. Actually, let's do the closing song.